order at 5:36. Roll call.
Councilman Norbury Tate,
Present.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Present.
Vice Mayor Durance Daniels. No response. Councilwoman Trina Carter, present. Councilwoman Saritha Brown.
Present.
We have 4 who are present. We do have a quorum. And for the record, Vice Mayor Daniels is out of town on training, so he's not here tonight.
We have prayer. Ms. Carter, would you do the prayer tonight?
Thank you. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you thanking you for this opportunity for us to come together to serve your purpose. We ask your blessings on this meeting, ask your blessings on each person in attendance, both in person and online. And we ask that you just keep our minds and hearts on you and on our village. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
So next we'll have the minutes review for November the 3rd, 2025. We have those approved with all necessary corrections.
Motion. Second.
It has been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays?
Nay. Any nays and oppositions? Roll call.
Did you want to? Okay, so the motion does pass. Okay.
Okay, then next person is Miss Lisa Bloom. She's the founding principal for Bloom Community Partner and Membership Steering Committee. She was on the committee that did the land use plan in 2019.
Housing study, the housing study.
Housing study?
Yep,
I'm
yep.
sorry.
That's all good.
Okay. She will give her presentations, and we'll take questions after her presentation.
Thank you very much. Thanks all for having me tonight. I wanted to take a minute. I have had a couple of conversations with Manager Brown, who is interested in kind of the status of the housing strategy, which was presented, I think, 2 years ago. We're all still COVID, pre-COVID, post-COVID, all of that. And Steve Johns is joining me. Steve is the director of the Planning and Development.
Testing.
That's okay. So I've had a conversation with Manager Brown about the land use study that was completed at Steve's office. I was just introducing Steve Johns, who is the Director of Planning and Development with Hamilton County. That department worked on the land use plan, and at the same time, Bloom Community Partners, along with LISC, worked on the housing strategy. We did housing strategies for, I'm going to say, 7 communities in Hamilton County. Lincoln Heights, one of them. The housing action plans were really an attempt to say, are there communities in Hamilton County that would be interested in using their CDBG allocation on housing projects? And if so, would they like to participate in some planning activity around housing? And so that's what that was all about. The land use study was really to talk about what kinds of opportunities around land use and zoning and redevelopment might there be in the village. I think certainly with a land use study is designed to talk about redevelopment opportunities, but also to talk about how best to grow your tax base. And there was an analysis there. So the proposal that I guess I would like to make to you tonight, based on conversations with the village manager, is to take these 2 documents that I know not everybody was on council at the time, maybe to take these 2 documents and go back through them in some detail with you all as the Economic Development Committee and to say what needs to change for these to be really reflective of what Lincoln Heights wants today. And then to take them as the basis for the work and either update them independently and bring them forward for you all to recommend to council, or to merge them into one master plan with the updates that you would be interested in, and then move that forward. So I am one of the team that was part of the housing study. Valerie Daly of LISC was also on that team. Steve is the director of the department who did that work, but April Galelli, who some of you may know, April has been part of the team, as has Chris Schneider been part of the team. So we're all still on the job. We're all still doing similar work. So it's nice to be able to have the original team go through the document with you, make sure we're making the edits that you want made so that you end up with the master plan that serves you and gives the manager a guide to what council wants him to pursue as he's looking for grant opportunities, as he's looking for other funding sources, as he's looking for redevelopment opportunities. So maybe that's enough to start with. I don't know, Manager Brown, if you've got something to add to that. What I suggested was I'm happy to answer questions tonight if this makes sense to you as an approach, and then have the full team here at your April meeting. That would kind of be the game plan.
So what's the purpose of the land use study?
Oh, so Steve might be able to answer this better than I, but a land use study is to make sure that your zoning code and your land use plan is up to date, so that when somebody comes and says, this is what we want to do, for example, with the high school site, or this is what we want to do on Lindy in a redevelopment area where you have lots of real estate available, they know what you want. You've already said it, it's in a plan, you've shared it with the community so people know what it is you're interested in and how you want redevelopment to take place. That's the point behind a land use plan. The housing study was really designed to talk about how do you strengthen your existing housing market, and are there ways that you can use CDBG funds and other funds that the county may have available to strengthen your housing market. That's what the point of that one was. And in both cases, I think Village Council reviewed the documents originally and said, we like some of this, we don't like all of this, and we'd like to see changes to the document. And this is the opportunity to really make those changes in ways that are what you all want, so that a final master plan that you would have would reflect exactly what you want it to look like. And maybe the one other thing I'll say, and then I'll ask Steve to help me with this. A master plan, a combined set of documents, helps you with grants. Every time the manager asks for grant money from anybody, they say, is this part of a plan? If the answer is yes, that's very helpful. Is it consistent with the plan? When developers come to Lincoln Heights and say, we want to do X, Y, Z, you get to say, we like X, we don't like Y or Z. This is our plan. Look at it and help us implement what we said we wanted. So that's kind of the point behind having those kind of documents available. It helps the administration move forward in ways that they know you support, and it helps the larger community come to Lincoln Heights and propose things that you want. Want to add to that?
Mr. Chair, thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. Economic development, right? That's the key to getting the village going, right? We need more things happening, more building, more activity, more workers here. And the land use plan sets the stage for that. So I think it was very wise to invite us to this committee, because this is where the action's going to happen, right? This is where we're going to be able to set the stage for the activity and then the revenue that we want to see for this village. So I am so pleased that you are willing to have us come and help with this project. I think the one thing to add to Ms. Bloom's comments is that the land use plan gives you the legal certainty so that you will not put yourself in potential jeopardy to be sued if you made a zoning change that was not in line with an adopted plan that the village had. So I think that is a cornerstone of being able to be legally justified in making the changes that may be necessary to create that economic development to come here. So it's a wise decision to have. It gives you that foundation. And last I would say is that a piece of many plans is a capital improvement plan, right? There's always these capital needs, like the roads you've been working on so far. The village, I think, has identified other needs like that to invest in the monies that come through the village. And this would tee that up. Again, back to this idea of transparency and a roadmap of what comes next. A capital improvements plan often is a 5-year plan with a lot of focus on years 1 and 2, and then maybe a little more of the wish list for years 3, 4, and 5. But it creates that roadmap, again, so Gaines will know, council will know, the public will know, everything will be in that plan, and then you can execute. So I'm excited. We've been working in the village for a long time, and to see folks ready to adopt and then act is really a great idea.
Help exactly on one of the things that Steve just said, and also the county will know. There are resources at the county, there are resources at the port, there are resources in other locations that y'all might be eligible to take advantage of. And if all of that is in a document that you've approved, it is easier to access those resources. And it's good for the county to know what your game plan is, because then they know how to respond to you. So.
Any questions from the?
Yeah, I have a question. So within going through this plan, I noticed, and I'm talking as a resident because I'm kind of named in this plan, so I can't talk as a council member. So how, and I knew nothing about it, and I sit on council. So how do you let the people know what you want to do?
So that is a huge question, and there have been, so when we did the housing study, and I'm just going to show you the document, because when we did the housing study, we had focus groups in the community, we sent a survey out, we had a survey day at a summer event, but it's still hard. Everybody doesn't see what's going on. I think part of it is how you communicate what your intentions are and what you want to move forward on, and I think that's okay. It's hard to get to everybody. And Lincoln Heights is a small community, and I think we can certainly do public presentations. We can do all kinds of work to get the word out, and that's appropriate work. But the other thing I would say is this is the housing study, the thing I'm holding up. This was done, the housing study was done in October 22. The land use study was in September 21. So it's been a minute. We would update data that's here. We would want to get your feedback, because for those of you who haven't seen it, need to take time to look through this stuff. We basically are using these 2 documents as a starting point so that we're not starting from scratch, because you've got these documents, you've got these resources. So it makes sense to start from this point and move forward. And I think the moving forward part, to your point, is this is a new council from back in 21 and 22, and you should be really familiar with what all this stuff says and make sure that what it says is what you want it to say.
Can I have a question. My question, I think, is more along of the economic part. So many things have changed economically since 2021 and 22. So looking back over and seeing how economically feasible this is for us to work with the funding or whatever is really important to me. And figuring out a way for the mass to understand what can be happening in this community. You said that, all these things happen, but I haven't gone anywhere, and I wouldn't have known some of the things had I not been involved, right?
Yep.
So the people that are just living their lives every day and is not involved in civics, they're not agreeing or disagreeing, they just don't know, right? So we need to figure out a way to address the mass, and there are, reading over it and getting in depth into this, there are many people that can be put out, homes being torn down, asked to relocate, and with Lincoln Heights being who we are and how we are, I don't really see that as being an answer.
Let me say a couple of things. I knew that, I knew based on comments that I heard from Manager Brown that any kind of demolition is something that people are just not ready for right this minute. I think there's lots of other things in both of these documents that ought to come first, and maybe to the point you also made, which is the economy is different right now. The economy is different than it was in 22. How we reprioritize and maybe change recommendations, both to respond to what's going on right now in the world, and also to be much more sensitive to the need to make sure that we're preserving buildings for people who are currently here and live in those buildings. And I think both of those things are possible. One of the things I'm hopeful, if this makes sense to you all as a way to move forward, is that we use next April, this session as a real working session to go through both of these pieces and say, what are the things you like? What are the things that you're not comfortable with? And then we can take that feedback and put together a new doc that you can take a look at. I mean, I think that makes really good sense.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
the only thing about this document is that it's a conflict of interest for most people around the table. And according to the Ethics Committee in Columbus, we can't even discuss it as the council people.
Say more about that.
Well, I have two properties that you're considering tearing down, one up on Jackson and the other one on Bird. I know this young lady over here, her grandmother's house is on Jackson. This gentleman right here, he was on the planning commission when they voted on it, and now he's on this committee.
I understand that that's going to be a problem. I think one of the ways that we can address that is to lift that stuff out of the document altogether so that you're not considering it, so that you are able to participate without having that conflict of interest.
Okay, and that's one thing. But then there's other people that's named in this document for their stuff to be torn down or whatever, and they haven't even been notified.
It's always a hard thing to make recommendations that are this concrete without having a conversation with the property owner. It happens frequently. Doesn't make it right. It's just that when you're planning for the future, sometimes you're making big plans and they include changes to the land use. If this is something that is not comfortable to you all, I think we take it out. So, for example, the main recommendation, which is that Lindy is on essentially it's the high school site and other undeveloped sites, other vacant sites. Maybe the thing to do, there's also a set of recommendations in the housing strategy about new construction on existing vacant lots. So maybe those are the things that we lead with, and we take the rest of it out for the time being.
Yeah.
That'll let you get the land use map and the zoning map adjusted. It'll let you put your biggest project forward, which is the Main and Main or Lindy project, without any displacement at all and any existing real estate acquisition. It lets you move forward on the recommendations to do new construction on vacant lots. Another one of the recommendations in the housing study is to work with existing property owners on programming that helps them make repairs to their buildings, helps them with tangle title, helps them with all of the kind of processes that they need to renovate the buildings they live in now, which is better for homeowners, better for generational wealth, all the things. So those things are in the documents now. I think we can move those things to the top of the list and take the things that feel uncomfortable or inappropriate off the list. I mean, that's kind of the exercise here. It's an opportunity to say, these are things we want to move to the front of the line. These are things that we want to take off the list. And this gives you the opportunity to do that. Because neither one of these documents has been approved by the council. So you have room, they're drafts. We have room to change them in ways that reflect both this council's interests and the current economy.
Mr. Chair, may I? I just want to kind of ask a question, but really make a statement. So, as Councilwoman Baber said, like pretty much all of us have some stake in it. So, I think as we move forward, it's very important that that the community members come out whenever we do have a meeting, so that we're making sure, I have faith that we are, but we can make sure that we are speaking on behalf of the community.
That's right.
Because, yeah, we're over half of us are landowners within the village. So, of course, I'm thinking about myself because my house also is on the list.
Sure.
And my aunt, who's been living there forever. So, of course, I'm thinking about that. But we want to make absolutely sure that not because of a misstep, but just because maybe the community is not as engaged, involved, make sure that they are, so that we are representative of the community. And so on that, I guess it wasn't really a question, but I think that's something that we all need to make sure, all involved need to make sure that we're doing. And I'm concerned because the land use plan, when I looked at the names who are actually listed as people that were reached out to, half of those people are not even invested in Lincoln Heights anymore. We have a new superintendent. The pastor of Lincoln Heights Baptist is no longer there. And there are some other people who had input, but they didn't have real stake in it, and they're gone.
Yeah.
So that way, I think it's very important that the community knows, but also that everybody that's involved in this realizes we are looking at the whole village. We want to do what's best for the whole village.
A couple of things. One of them is, and I want to make sure everybody feels comfortable about their role and their position. But one of the things that makes you all good council people is that you do have a stake in this community. I would venture to say every elected body in a jurisdiction in Hamilton County, the people who sit on the body have some kind of interest. They all do, because they live in the communities. So I would certainly, that's not a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. I want to be very respectful of what you hear from the Ohio Ethics Commission, and want to make sure we're all clear on that. But you are certainly not the only elected officials who own real estate in the places that you represent. Every elected official in the county probably does.
I think it was more that they were not contacted to say that they were even there.
Yeah.
In the plan, with being even on council or even being a resident of the community. However, it's just about us building community and letting the village know, and taking the input and letting them know that their voices matter, and we want to hear them. So that's what the new council is about, and that's how we're gonna move forward. But I think that knowing that we can now dismantle this plan and rebuild it is a comfort for all of us, I would think, because we don't have to take that street. We can just focus on Lindy and that and growing that area. Right. So I think that would be great to just, if we.
I mean, it's your document to approve, right? So I think you absolutely get to do that.
Okay, you were talking about Lindy now. So what about the elementary school? Is that?
Yeah, that is.
I mean, what's going on with that?
I don't have an answer for you. I don't know for sure. I think so. I want to respond to a couple of things, because you've all talked about the need to make sure that people from the neighborhood, the community, know what's going on. The game plan or the proposal with Manager Brown has been, let's take what we have, use what's good, eliminate the stuff that doesn't suit the current village council's needs, and then I think then what I'd suggest is that we use the April meeting for this, go through it, take out what you want, leave in what you want, put to the top of the line what you think is most important, add new stuff if there is new stuff to add.
I guess I think I got a problem with the council doing it, because I know that there's so many residents that are not aware. Us just making this decision about what doesn't fit for us is not really what doesn't or may not really fit for the residents. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So maybe, and it's hard. So maybe what works, and I'm just trying to give you, make sure that we can use as much of what we already have as is appropriate. At this committee level, if you want to get a document that looks like what you want it to look like, you can then take it out for public comment. I think that's absolutely appropriate before you take it to council and ask them to make a final decision about it. I think that, I mean, we could definitely do that. I would love, I mean, you want something that you feel at least preliminarily comfortable with, because as you guys have said, people who aren't civically engaged don't know. You do, because you are civically engaged. So if you could get something that feels comfortable for you and then go out to the community and say, did we get this right? Is this right? Then you'll have that confidence that people who are interested will have taken a look, they will have something to comment on, and then you can go to council with whatever recommendation you all want to make.
Mr. Chair, me again. So I had read that the plan that we have before us right now has a lot of recommendations. Basically, someone decided of all of the things, this is the best use we think. But there were other suggestions that did come from talking to the community, from surveys and everything. Is there an easy way for us to review the other things that didn't make it to the plan but might have been viable? Is there anything that we could do? And I'm thinking long-term for this, because I think we're trying to get the best thing that we can get as quickly as possible, but the best thing.
Yeah.
But for long-term, to make it that concrete, this is what we're trying to do. Is there a way for us to have access to that information?
You can see me musing here. We did lots of interviews. A lot of the interviews, the people that you all acknowledge are not here anymore, but we have interview notes. You all could certainly have access to whatever we have in terms of interview notes. We've done surveys in the community. All that feedback is there. Steve, I'm going to ask you to comment on the comments that were part of the land use process, but it's not necessarily pretty. I mean, it's, there's flip charts and all the things, but we have all that stuff. It's not pretty, I'll guarantee you that, but.
I think Ms. Bloom's not saying that it's there's no secrets or anything in there. It's just like it's all this work that we would say is not very formal. It's stuff that we probably have in some back shelf somewhere because we typed it all, the pieces that we thought were most important or most resonated with the community into the documents. But yeah, we can comb all those resources and make sure that all those ideas that maybe that didn't make it into the actual document, but that were generated, are available for people to check out.
Do we have any questions from the public? Come to the podium and state your name and your address, please.
I'm Pastor Marvin, Mount Moriah Missionary Baptist Church. This is just a recommendation to the village mayor and the council persons who serve this village that you would take these documents and peruse them carefully so that the council first can come to you a consensus to what's good for the betterment of the whole for your village. Because certainly the village residents should be at the top of the list because it is their properties where some may pay taxes, some may not pay taxes, and then their properties can be placed in a jeopardized position. That's a reflection then that will be on yourselves and them. So when you come to the conclusion, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and when would it happen? What you're going to do, that's for you to discuss. How are we going to do it? That's for you, Steve and Madam. That's for you to come back and inform with legal representation so everything is above board and legal. And then the notification of the residents. because we deal with a different demographic of personalities, of course, you know. And you want to be as clear as possible so that you can move forward. Economic development here, it is a good thing, but is it going to benefit the residents, the village, and Lincoln Heights? So what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, peruse the document, create a new document that works for the village and its residents. Notify the village and the residents of what the process shall be. Then thereafter, you make a decision how we're going to move forward to make Lincoln Heights better. That's only my outside analysis. It's only my recommendation as a spiritual leader in this community in which I do care about. That's all.
Thank you.
And the plan is online, is that correct, Mr.?
Yes, sir.
So if you want to make yourself familiar with the plan, it's online.
So where's the list?
Your name, state your name, your
Yeah.
address, state your name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gary Brown, Lincoln Heights residents.
What list are you referring to, sir?
The list they're referring to as far as like who own it, what properties own it, and stuff like that.
Everything's in the plan.
So it's not actually a list. When they say the list, it's actually what's in the actual plan.
So where would I see like if my name on it, like Ms. Baker?
It wouldn't be
There's
your
no
name.
names
It's
on-
just the
You mean
area or
names of the
address.
people that were on the committee?
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, that's how it kind of
That's what you're
sounded.
looking for?
Well, I came in late. That's how it kind of sounded to me. And Ms. Carter said something about the people are gone. So was it a business
Oh.
kind of thing or a residence?
So apparently the first people that were on the committee that did the plan are no longer.
No,
Go ahead.
yeah.
Actually, speak to that. So, you want to speak to that, village manager?
Chairman, I just would like to interject just so that way we can kind of get back to the spirit of the land use plan. So the plan was created in 2021, and there was some community engagement that was part of that. That included residents, that included business owners. So that way we can kind of devise what we want to see in terms of community economic development within the village of Lincoln Heights. And so that included interviews, focus groups, and a survey. So I can't really speak to the number of people that participated because this was back in 2021. But as our colleagues have shared, they have the data, and we're more than welcome to review that as well. As it pertains to any list, it's more so of a zoning map on what would change. And
That's what I'm asking.
yeah, and that's
It's in the plan.
it's in the
It's in
plan.
this plan,
and,
babe.
and the
And
plan
they say it's online.
and the plan is online.
Okay.
At VLHO.org. If you hit the About Us tab, it will have the land use plan in full, so you can review, make any comments or whatever. And whenever we have our next working session in April, you'll be able to provide any feedback that you'd like to.
So you're saying that, like as far as them coming today, it took that long as far as the plan for it to come about, it to be presented to us as far as today?
I can't say that. So in 2021, this was presented to council. For whatever reason, I think there may have been some hesitance to move forward with it as it was presented then. The objective to have it presented to council now and to the residents now is because as I'm going through and I'm submitting grant applications so that way we can get some more money to do some more things in the village, whether that be street projects, where we want to acquire some land so that way we can do some additional development in the village. These funders need to know that we have a plan. And if those grant submissions are in alignment with that plan, it's very unlikely that we will receive the funding to do what we need to do in the village to move the village forward. And that doesn't involve demolition or anything like that. I know that that was recommended in the previous plan, but as we have talked about this evening, we're going to be moving forward with doing some revisions. We have the shell of what it looks like right now, but we're going to do some additional community engagement so that way all the data, all the narrative is truly reflective of what the village wants. Because we're not going to make any decisions offhand on what's going to happen in the village without that resident input.
Okay. Well, it's something she said that kind of made me. She said something about like the legal part, like y'all, like as a village, like y'all can choose to do something, and then like a legal thing can make it right, even if it's wrong.
No.
That's kind of what I took from what she said, as far as like when she said something about the legal
She said
part
that
of it.
making sure that the zoning and everything is legal before we make any decisions, and not just making decisions to build and not the zoning.
So you
being
wouldn't get sued, like it was a thing, like, you know what I'm saying, like somebody might get crossed. That's how I took it.
If I may, so part of that discussion is, so for example, with the planning commission, right?
Yeah.
You've seen special exceptions or variances come through.
Good.
As we have our current zoning within the village, say if somebody comes in like, I want to do XYZ at 123 property, and multiple people come in and ask for the same thing, if we don't have a plan to point back to, that is where the legal consideration comes into play, because it's almost as if it's like case by case rather than it being like a document that guides, kind of like laying the blueprint of how this is going to work.
Okay, fair enough. That was a good answer. So from what Ms. Baber said, say if I'm not Ms. Baber, so I'm not privy to what Ms. Baber knows, as y'all said, something about council. So if my property is part of the plan, how would I know that if I don't?
You're gonna look in the land use plan. That's exactly what Ms. Baber.
But, like, look,
That's how Ms. Baber found out, because she looked through the land use plan.
But look out here. I'm talking about as far as like the village. Ain't nobody. Only way I
Okay,
know
but-
is I got a phone call. You know what I'm saying? That this was gonna happen. So
Well,
I mean, look out here. I'm saying.
So that's, if you listen to us in the beginning, you said you came in late. We're all new, right?
Yep.
We all want to make sure that this plan is reflected from the residents.
Right.
And because we weren't here, we are willing and want to go back out, reach back out to the residents. If it was done already, maybe it was, maybe it
Right.
wasn't, and make sure that everybody is privy to what this plan reads, and anything that people want to add or take away, we listen, we do that, we take it back to them, and we present it then to council or to the planning commission. So we know that there's a lot of people that don't understand or don't even know. So that's what we're sitting here tonight saying, that we need to get this back out to the community, because there's so many people like you and myself
Yeah.
that were not privy to the plan itself. We knew that there was going to be a plan, but what was in the plan, nobody really knew. So I think it's important as a council person and a resident that we get back out into the community and try to shake the trees, make sure everybody is at least privy, even if they don't have an input.
Good answer too. So you saying basically, like, as far as the decision that this council gonna make, this new council and this council, that the people council is not gonna make a decision as far as y'all opinion. It's gonna make a decision for us to communicate.
That's what you just heard.
Copy that.
Mr. Chair. I also want to point out, because it's very exciting, that our committee meetings are now ICRC, because this is our first one, if I'm not mistaken, in a while. The committee meetings are now on. To me, I think for a resident who wants to know more and be prepared for the next meetings and with their questions and everything, the committee meetings are now on YouTube, so you can stream them live or later on, so that you can see whatever you want to bring us, whatever questions, or comments. I'm excited about that since we started that today.
Are there any more questions from the public?
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I also want to kind of point out that we have been without a digital marketing consultant since, I think, June of 2025. And so at the next meeting, you'll see draft legislation for that purpose specifically. So that way we can really share the word in such a way where folks are able to be aware of all of the happenings within the village. We now have an automated call mass notification system that has been in use. However, there are several considerations associated with that. But with the addition of a digital marketing consultant, a lot of this information is going to be shared with the community in such a way where they'll have the information they need to inform us of, where they are perception-wise in this process.
State your name, your address.
My name is Karen Hankston, 932 Jackson Street. So, I came in kind of late because I just heard about the meeting. And that there is a land bank, and everybody on here is not new. We have 3 people that's on here new. So it's people who is familiar with the plan. However, even when I was down here, I was not familiar with the plan right there. As they talk, my concern is, when you do that land bank, is it going to be a whole new one? Or are you dismissing residents that may have property or something to that effect?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may. So I know you came in a little bit later, but I want to kind of echo what Ms. Liz Bloom of Bloom Community Partners shared. So there was some recommendations associated with demolition in the previous land use plan, and I know that this may not have been a priority to other village managers in the past, but for me, in my position, I think it's really important for us to have these plans in place so that way we can do community economic development within the village in such a way that is very coordinated, very strategic. And as it pertains to the question that you had with demolition within this land use plan, this is something that we are going to kind of take a look at very closely as we are getting some more community engagement involved in this process. The plan is to kind of get some more feedback from the residents, get some additional eyes and ears within this conversation, so that way we can develop this document that is going to be part of a master plan. The village has not had a master plan since 1975, 1980. And that is not characteristic of local government. And so what's really important for me is that we are developing these plans that's going to guide the investment within the village, so that way we can have more businesses come into the village. That way we can have more housing within the village that will increase the tax base, which is going to help us do more things within the village.
So, I hear what you're saying, but my question was that there are already some homeowners in here, and some of them are kind of concerned that due to this plan, that when you begin to bring business in here, when you begin to redevelop, they're going to be excluded, or either the taxes is going to be so high that they cannot afford, and then they be dislocated from their residence. Because remember, we do have seniors that own a lot of property.
Yeah, and that's certainly something that is very top of mind as we're looking to do development within the village. We're not looking to displace anyone, and we are looking to also work on this plan in such a way that does not include demolition. What was spoken previously by both Liz and Steve is that we should consider using the vacant land that we have currently, really focus on the main projects, specifically on Lindy, so that way we can use a lot of the vacant land within the village for community economic development. So the objective and the intent is not to displace anyone from their residence. It's mainly to do development on the vacant land that we have currently.
So I know that you wasn't here. There were 5 people that came down here that I sent that were wanting to buy land to build a house. One of them came all the way from Louisiana with money in pocket to buy land to purchase a building. I know 3 of them that still wants to buy land to purchase a home. Is that still available? And they were residents who had located out of town who wants to come back to the village of Lincoln Heights. Is that offer still available for them?
Yeah, so we still have vacant land within the village. The land use plan is really just going to help us have a document that's going to be like a blueprint that's going to help kind of steer the conversation with developers. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if we have a vacant lot on Jackson, and that's zone residential, somebody coming in to bring in a Gold's Gym might not fit in that location. You understand what I'm saying? And so that is the reason why that's just an example of why we would need a plan. And we still have that land available, but what I'm noticing in my time here is that many developers are desiring to meet with me to tell me what they want to do within the village when the opposite should be occurring.
Correct. Okay, that was good. I understand.
Any more questions from the public or either council members? State your name and your address.
Gary Brown, just right quick, I heard somebody say something about the old high school building. So are we gonna focus on like blight sites to kind of get rid of like the stuff that we got that should be gone versus the good stuff that we gonna kind of try to take from people?
We're not trying to take anything from
My
anyone.
bad, my bad.
We're not trying to take anything
my
from
bad,
anyone.
let me.
Yeah.
It came out wrong.
No,
But what I'm saying though, the possibility that people stuff might get took though, so let's not go all the way back on it. But I guess my point being, like the old high school, there's different buildings throughout the village, the hilltop things. It's been here forever. They haven't been used. Are we focusing on that, or are we handpicking other stuff?
So that is a great question. There will be a focus on blighted properties. Those have been damaged by fire or just kind of like just left vandalism, dilapidated, just through the elements. There certainly is a plan in place, and I've been in conference with Mr. Clark, the owner of the old elementary school. We are waiting to hear back about some grant funding associated with that, but there is a desire to acquire that land. We're not talking about eminent domain. We're talking about acquisition. And there are many things associated with that. And I don't want to get into the weeds with all things that are kind of like pending. But in terms of the blighted properties that exist within the village of Lincoln Heights, we are certainly looking to see what we can do, because I'm noticing that there are some tangled titles and stuff like that as well. We're currently working through that, but the main focus at the moment will be to develop the vacant land.
Good answer.
Do we need to make a motion to make April a working session, or can we just say that?
I think April will be a working session.
Third,
It's third Monday. Question?
So if everybody is good, I mean, the idea would be the land use plan, and I'm also going to do the pitch for the housing plan, which is the other thing. Take a look at both of these documents between now and April. And I mean, I'm happy to have people marking things up. Circle what you like, mark up what you don't like, what needs to be removed. And then at April, you'll have the whole team here. And we can walk through both of them, get your comments. So that's the April meeting. And then the game plan will be, we'll take your comments, create one new clean document that is reflective of what your comments are. And then that's what we would use to go out to the public and make it available to people online, however people want to connect with it. If we want to do a session or two in the community in some kind of way, and then you would have that feedback to decide what you want to do next, with the idea that you'd go, that this would be the working committee that would make a recommendation to council. So just kind of, so you have in your head, that would be the next few steps. If that makes sense.
Makes sense? Come to the podium, state your name, address.
My name is Nona Calhoun Mumia, and I'm a resident at 1117 Wabash Avenue, Lincoln Heights. When we're talking, there were several things that sort of came to my mind. One is the role of the Planning Commission. Is this information going to go through the Planning Commission and then come to the Economic Development committee. And the second thing I was concerned about is the CRA. I think some of the residents would be confused between the land use plan and the CRA that was put on hold until we got further information.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I just want to make sure I'm responding to this correctly. So the first is the land use plan.
The first, first was the planning commission.
Oh, so the planning commission.
Commission,
And their involvement.
Yes.
Yeah. So this actually came through the planning commission. They made the recommendation to council to adopt the land use plan as it existed, but some questions came back from council, and it was referred to the Economic Development Committee. And as we're moving forward, as we are doing the update to the land use plan or the housing action strategy, this can go to either the planning commission or first, or to the Economic Development Committee. I genuinely have no preference. For me, what's really important is that we are able to have a plan, regardless of what that looks like. Obviously, it needs to be reflective of what the residents want, but we need to have a plan, point blank. And with that, we'll be able to truly invest within the village in such a way that can revitalize Lincoln Heights. And secondly, to the CRA point, yes, it was put on pause. Those vacant lots remain. There are so many considerations associated with that, namely the Tax Incentive Review Council and the housing councils that were required by legislation to be put in place for the review of the sale of the property. Those were never filled through council. And so with that, we are currently working through the legalities of everything associated with the sale of those properties. We still have quite a bit within our portfolio of vacant land, but I think hopefully does that provide like a definitive answer to your question?
Well, I was wondering if this committee is going to make recommendations to the council to get the committee members that are needed for the CRA. Are they going to get those together? Do they have a planning commission with the right amount of members? What action is this committee going to recommend to the council to make sure that those committees that are needed to progress this activity, which I think is probably one of the reasons that we don't have a 5-year plan for the development of the community, is because we never have all these committees and involvement of the community.
Yeah, and I think with additional community engagements, we can kind of drum up some more interest for civic engagement. And as it pertains to the activities of this committee, I won't speak to what they will or they won't recommend. But as we are currently combing through everything associated with the legalities of the sale of the properties that we had previously sold and the ones that remain reserved or pending, that is something that myself and the solicitor will comb through. We've been trying to work through that for quite some time now, because there remains an interest to purchase land and to also do development here. But it's almost a chicken or the egg type situation, where do we sell the property and then do the land use plan, or do we do the land use plan and then sell the property? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and this is something that's going to go through the planning commission, or is
with
it going to be
the CRA, or what are you referring to specifically?
the planning commission for the CRA and for any plans that are involved in the development of the land use?
Yeah, there will certainly be involvement within the planning commission. I think as these documents are being updated, we'll make certain that the planning commission has a copy. They're able to have discussion and meeting on that, and then refer that back to economic development, who will subsequently refer that back to council for approval. We want to move quickly on it. However, I desire to move quickly on it because this is something that hasn't been in place for however long. But I also want to acknowledge the fact that these things take time, and we don't want to recommend anything to council without doing the proper engagement of the residents and updating those documents with updated data, metrics, and narrative, so it's truly reflective of Lincoln Heights today.
So the planning committee has gone through their process and they've made the recommendation to the economic development committee.
That came from planning commission to council. Chairman, was it?
It went to the planning commission. We recommended that it go to council. It went to council. Then council recommended it come to economic development committee. So my question is, after the economic development committee finish with it, does it go back to the planning commission again? Or does it go back to council?
That
Before we take it to the planning commission, we're gonna let the residents review it. Oh, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. So what I said is that it will go to the planning commission, but it'll go to the residents before it goes to the planning commission, because we want to make sure that the residents are happy with the plan. So, so we can push forward. And the reason why you wasn't here, the reason why we're not actually voting on this plan is because it's a conflict of interest for most people around the table. That's why we have to change it.
Why would it be a conflict of interest? I don't understand.
Because either you're talking about people's property that own property here in Lincoln Heights in this plan, or their family members or something is on it. We got a council member that was on the planning commission at the time that it was voted on and now on council. Conflict of interest, babe?
I don't see how that's a conflict.
Well,
because this is the community, this is Lincoln Heights. And residents of Lincoln Heights there wouldn't be any conflict of interest in that.
If you're talking about your property and you can profit from it, that's a conflict of interest. Now, you can call the ethics committee. You can call the ethics committee of Columbus if you like.
I don't understand how any municipality would be able to make a plan for the community without the council people being on that, making those.
You're right, because
decisions.
everybody that sit around this table have to live in the village of Lincoln Heights. But you can't, the council person cannot talk about their property being sold or tore down or whatever. They can talk as a resident, but they can't vote on it on council.
Okay, I'm not.
That's what I'm saying. You can contact the ethics. I have a number for you.
No, I would be able to find the number. What I'm concerned about basically is that we go through the process with the planning commission, and the planning commission would make the decision on getting this information out to the community.
No, that's council's job.
Council's job is to do
Get
legislation.
it out to the community, because council work for the
council's job is to
community.
do legislation based on what the commissions.
We hear
and
what
boards and
I hear
commissions.
exactly what you're saying, but it's not the planning commission's job to notify the community of what's going on. That's council's job.
Okay.
Chairman Tate, if I may. So I see we're having discussion about kind of like the order of operations, on how this is going to be presented to the
Yes,
residents,
the
how this is going to be voted on, et
Yes.
cetera, et cetera. So I just want to offer that we will confer with our solicitor, so that way we can have a definitive answer on what the procedure should be, especially as it pertains to any potential conflicts of interest. I'm in agreement with our colleague Liz Bloom that every municipality has people on their council that owns property there. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on the council. And so, with that being said, I'll refer to our solicitor for any type of guidance on how to proceed with the vote to adopt. But in the meantime, we will certainly move forward with doing some additional community engagement so we can update those plans.
Yeah, I think we're on the same term. We both want the community to be aware of what's going on. It's just basically the process that it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, one last question. I was just wondering, so assuming we're having the working session in April, how, Ms. Bloom, how soon do you think we would be able to have the new recommendation? Like, if everything went
Yep.
together and the planets are aligned, how soon?
I would like to say, and this is always bad because I'm just saying, and it's other people's work to be done too, maybe by the June meeting. I'm going to say
Thank you.
by the June meeting. And actually, that's not bad either, because then we have summer to get feedback. I mean, we don't want to take forever, but, there's stuff going on, and it's a good way to get people feedback.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I just had one question. When you said you did surveys, when were the surveys, and do you know how many? Just because I'm asking, because I've done surveys as well of what the community wants and looking for, and I guess my question is that one of the tools that we can use to plug back into this plan, surveys that we have, because here's the thing, doing this work, and when you sending out surveys, a lot of people, especially in Lincoln Heights, don't want to do no more surveys because they do the surveys and nothing happens from it, right?
Yep.
So I don't even want to ask our residents to do another survey. However, I do want them to be involved. But my thought was, can we use prior surveys that we had to because I think the latest one I did was last year, and then pretty much they always say the same thing over and over and over again, what they want. So using that part of that information to plug back into this plan, and maybe, I don't know, it was just
No, I'm shaking my head yes, because I agree with you. I've done 5. People are just surveyed out,
Yes.
and it's just and nothing happens, and it's frustrating for them. What I would say is, I mean, you know best how to get to people. I think once you're comfortable with something that you want to share, we can talk about how best to do that. Maybe it's sessions here, maybe it's sessions we've done with block parties out, and just literally have people see stuff and comment that way. That's more fun.
Yeah.
So you all know best. We can talk about what the best way to get word out is.
Yeah, and then I also wanted to say that We Thrive, if you can get with We Thrive, Mr. Brown, they did come out and did a survey. We did a block party up on Jackson and Douglas, and they came out and they did a survey.
We were there.
You were there?
Yeah. Yep.
So where's that information?
We've got it. I've got it.
Oh, you have it?
Well, We Thrive has it.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, we helped with it, but
Right.
We Thrive has it. And you're right. I mean, people say the same. They want to support their families. They want, support renovating their houses. I mean, yeah.
It was
And-
June the 19th. I remember the day.
Yeah, it was a
What year was
Juneteenth
it?
Senate. It's probably been 2 years ago. There were,
It was
Yeah.
the year before last.
yeah.
Okay.
And we also did interviews when we did the housing study, and there's the summary of the interviews is in this one. So you could see what people said then. Again, many of them not necessarily still here, but I would ask that once we get something that people are comfortable with here, that we just, take a minute and talk about what the best ways to get out there are. I'm good with that. And I am familiar with the surveyed to death feeling people have, so that might not be the best answer. I get it.
But using them though, I think using them, not
Yeah.
Yeah.
specifically doing a new one, but just
Yeah.
using the information that we have.
And We Thrive's got those things, and I've probably got, that's why I said it's probably not pretty what I got, but we've probably got
I
stuff.
got some too.
Yeah.
So we'll take one more question, and that'll be the last question because we have another meeting after this.
Thank you.
So I understand y'all talk about surveys. Can you hear me now? I understand that you guys are talking about surveys. Now, I've been here most of my life. No one has brought me a survey talking to,
Manny, you and Manny did your survey.
not on some housing, not on no
It was-
land, not on any of that. I didn't even respond to the survey when it was given.
So that's a
what-
different thing, though, Ms. Karen.
But
whether you respond or not,
no,
to say you didn't
it was
get one.
on the,
So-
it was, can I talk?
Finish your questions. Finish your point.
I'm sorry.
I'm
I
sorry.
was-
That's rude.
I
That's
apologize.
rude.
I didn't mean.
That's rude.
I didn't mean to come out that way, ma'am. I apologize.
I'm done, that's rude.
I apologize, ma'am. I didn't mean to put it out that way. Come and finish your question, please. I apologize, ma'am. You still have the floor. No. I was gonna let you finish. I said finish your point so we could do. We got another meeting after this. You still have the floor.
Mr. Chair, if anyone speaks, because the audio's being recorded as well as the video, and for us to do the transcriptions, we need people to speak into the mic. Otherwise, it may not be reflective of what was said if it's not heard. Okay,
Ma'am,
okay. Okay.
You need a motion. You need a motion.
are there any miscellaneous items? If not, announcements?
What announcement that I added Miss Phyllis Baber to Law Committee. She's excited about that.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
I did add Miss Phyllis Baber to the Law Committee today. Well, not today, but yeah. I just wanted everybody to know that she's my new member. I'm very excited to have her.
Okay, if there's no announcements, I'll call for the meeting to be adjourned.
Motion.
Make a motion for the meeting to be adjourned.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.